This is the replay, or rather redo, of my Q&A licensing live, which I have chosen to re-record for a couple of reasons. I had a couple of tech issues and I just really wanted to provide like better content. So I'm just going to go through all of the questions again. Um, Everything that was asked that was sent to me, and also anybody that asked questions in the live. So um, I've written them all down. I'm just going to go through them one by one. So the first set of questions I had was from Millie, and her question is, so she's got a couple. How often do you run across digital artists and graphic designers shifting to the licensing field? And the answer to that was often. I would say most of the time that happens, not all the time, but I have heard that story time and time again, and it's actually my own story. I also have a branding graphic design agency, and when I discovered watercolor, I was like, I really want to get into licensing, and I started to make that shift. So that's super common, and I think it's actually a really good place to be because it means a lot of times you know the software that you need to know. That's my cat. I can't promise that there won't be more cat sightings in this video. There's two, they're sisters, and they look identical. Um, is it possible to do licensing without a lawyer and an agent? Yes, I don't have an agent and I don't have a lawyer. My contracts haven't been terribly complex. I think if I had a really complex one, I might hire somebody just to look at it, but you can totally do this without an agent. You just have to be comfortable pitching yourself, and you're going to spend more time doing things like looking over contracts, negotiating, trying to find companies. There's like more time involved for you there. But that's how I do it. And I started from nothing and now I'm licensed. So 100% you can do it that way. And there's not a reason to have an agent unless you want somebody to take care of that stuff for you. The other thing to keep in mind, which is not something I said before, was that an agency, a lot of times, or an agent will take anywhere from 30 to 50% of your take. 50% is actually super common. So in the beginning, you're not making mounds of money. It takes time for this stuff to happen. So it's sometimes better to not have an agent in the beginning because not only do you get experience pitching and just get like getting to know the business for yourself, but you also are taking 100% of your own income home. Um, well, minus taxes and business expenses. But anyway, you don't need an agent or a lawyer. Are there places or resources to see open call or to sell your designs via licensing companies? Or does it have to be done through direct pitching? So typically it's done through direct pitching. The only resource that I know of, it's a platform like that where it connects art directors and companies and manufacturers with artists, is a company called Art Licensing Show, and their website is artlicensingshow.com. It's run by a woman named Cherish, and I actually am on that site, so it's actually a pretty good resource, but that's the only one that I know of. The other things that you can do are go to trade shows. So you can go, there's one called Surtex, and that's probably the biggest one. There's one called New York Now, and there's one called the Atlanta Gift Mart, and that one happens twice a year. And you can just go, you don't have to be an exhibitor, you can just go as somebody that's attending, and it'll give you good insight into how companies are looking at things in terms of collections and on retail products. Um, and Daniela asked, can you license the same pattern or illustration to different companies on the same year? Do you have to wait for the contract to expire? That is an excellent question. So that is highly dependent or completely dependent on the actual contract. Some contracts are exclusive, and that means that that company has exclusive rights to that art for a certain period of time, which means you cannot license it to anyone else. Some contracts are non-exclusive, which means you can license it to anyone else, and some contracts are a hybrid, which typically, if a company wants exclusivity, that's the way that I like to do it. So, for example, if your art is getting licensed for, um, say, like a wall art is mostly what I do. So, if I have a contract for wall art, but I want to also take that same art and put it in like fabric or home decor, like kitchenware, that sort of stuff. My contract will say that they have exclusivity for wall art in North America, but that's it. I can use that same work for any other category I want or in other countries. So you can do a hybrid thing, but you can ideally license your work to two people at once. You just have to be, it has to be really clear in the contract where that is. If you're giving full exclusivity for like multiple categories across the board, your royalty rate or your flat fee, however you're getting paid, should be higher because that limits your ability to continue to license it. I had a question from Patricia about printing and scanning. She said that she has a Canon all-in-one printer or scanner, and then is that okay for scanning your work? So it can be, as long as you have a scanner that will allow you to scan at a really high resolution. So I scan my work in at 8 to 1200 DPI, and then I reduce the size. I preserve the details and I enlarge it in Photoshop. That's how I keep that good quality, because some of my stuff gets blown up to like 2 or 3 feet and I'm not photographing it, I'm scanning it on my Epson, which you can see back there. It's a V600 Epson Perfection. I love it and I highly recommend that one. So you can use not that scanner, but it has to be able to scan at a high resolution. But I will tell you, it does make a difference, the scanning quality, and it will make your life easier when editing if you have a better scanner. Let's see. Shay asked me, I've answered this question a couple of times and I'm going to answer it again. She says that she is a Christian creative herself. How do I keep God the center of my creative work, and do I have any advice for other Christian creatives like her? So this for me, I answered a couple times, and one was sort of practical and one was sort of more abstract, but basically I pay really close attention to what my emotions are. So if I'm feeling really overwhelmed and burned out or stressed out, it typically means that I'm no longer doing what I feel like God's plan is for me. And so I really have to take a step back and make sure that I find like peace in everything that I'm moving forward with or doing. And the other way is just like little things throughout the day. So I don't typically get up and spend like a half an hour reading the Bible. Instead, I'll do like a verse of the day, or I'll just like talk to God throughout the day. So just sort of keeping God in my everyday mind in the really practical small things is really helpful to me, and that's probably one of the biggest things I would recommend, because it just kind of, it doesn't have to be over spiritualized. It just kind of keeps you in communication with God. So that's my answer to that one. Megan asked, do I have specific document sizes when making my brand books? No. So no. The answer to that question was I just used a presentation size, which was like 1900, 1920 by 1280 maybe pixels. But you can get creative with that. Your brand book can be however you like it to be. You really can just do what is most like your brand and your voice and really make it yours. Do I submit a single collection to more than one company at a time? Yes, I do. I'll submit, I will pitch my work to a lot of people. It's very common to not hear from companies for a long period of time or need to pitch your work multiple times. So basically, until it's under contract, I'll pitch the same thing to a bunch of people at once and see who is interested in it. Have I had more than one company want to license with me on a single collection? No, this has not happened to me yet. It would be amazing if it did, but I have not yet had that happen. Typically, I've had like one person will pick it up. When I'm working on a new collection, do I share it with my social media followers? Or is it a secret? Which is a completely valid question. So you'll find that a lot of people are super secretive about their collections, and it's because their art gets stolen. It's super common for people to just like steal it off your website or steal it off Pinterest and start selling it in like China or on eBay or something. I am not secretive about that stuff. I don't want my work to get stolen, but I err on the side of generosity. I like to share my processes. I want other people to license their work. It's like fun for me to be helpful. So yeah, I do. I actually, after she asked that question, I shared something on social media about something new that I'm working on. But if anything, it doesn't occur to me. I'm in the middle of working and I'm thinking about painting or whatever, and then I'm not always consistent on social media. I'm way more consistent about my email communication, but I will try to be better about that. So yeah, I would totally share it. Um, what else? I wrote them down. Sorry, I had another one. Oh, one of the questions that was asked in the live was, how do I price my work? And the answer to that question is it completely depends on like royalty rates for if you're getting paid in royalties. So you can get paid in royalties, you can get paid a flat fee, or you can sell out your copyrights completely. But royalty rates are typically 3 to 5% for like bigger distribution companies. Like if you're going to be in bigger stores, big box retail stores, that's about the range. If it's a smaller boutique company, it's probably like 6 to 10%, kind of in that range. And then in terms of anything else that I price, like freelance work, I use, let me just get this book so you can see it. I showed it before too. I use this book. They update it every year. It has pretty much everything you could want. It's super thick. I mean, everything from like children's book illustration to surface design to, literally everything, logos, design. So I recommend getting this. It typically is like 45 bucks, but it often goes on sale on Amazon if you're not getting the hardcover, and you can get it for 25 bucks. So anyway, I recommend having it. It's a really good guide, and it helps you to price yourself in a way that you're profitable but also not overcharging. So that's how I price mine. Let me see. Okay, here's another one. This is from Jean. When I send a cold call email to pitch, should I send my work samples or sales sheet or a sales sheet of my latest collection? I have no idea how I should follow up if I don't receive a reply. So if it's a new company, the best thing to do is follow their process. If they have something on their website that's like, hey, this is our submission process, we want to see like PDFs or JPEGs or whatever, always follow their process. If you don't, they just won't respond to you. If it's a new brand new person to you and you're pitching and it's just like an email and they're like, hey, send your work to this email address, I recommend sending some low-res JPEGs or low-res PDFs. Nothing like don't send them giant files to their emails, so that they can just sort of get a idea of what your work looks like if you have a collection or two that you're sending to them. And then also links to everything, your website portfolio, your social media, if you have that, your brand book, if you have a brand book. Just don't make it hard for them to basically get a hold of you. And then in terms of follow-up, you could ideally want to send you art every time you follow up. It is common to follow up. They expect follow up. You're not annoying them or frustrating them. Sometimes people won't respond to you for months. They get so much emails and they see so much art. So it's not personal if you have to send several emails, but you should follow up with new art if you have it available. I should have gotten water before I started this. Paulette asked how to design a collection for licensing purposes. So this is one I can answer. It's kind of a long answer. I went into this in more detail in that PDF guide that I made, but basically the way that my process is I start with figuring out where I want to see my art, like what kind of category. Do I want it on greeting cards? Do I want it on fabric? Do I want it on wall art? And then I come up with a theme so that all of my collection pieces fit together cohesively. Then I usually will sketch out what's going to be in my collection. I'll make a color palette, and typically a collection, you can do a mini collection, and that's usually I think 3 to 6 is considered a mini collection, and anything above that is considered a full collection. Fabric companies and scrapbooking companies typically, they're the only people that really want like those really big collections of like 12, but you don't have to do that. But that's my process for creating a collection, and you just want to pay attention to also what's selling in stores. Like, go to a store and see what's in there and see what the trends are. You can look at Pinterest on trends too, and that will help you get an idea of like the kinds of art that are selling and what to make in terms of a collection. Um, let's see, that might be the last one. Um, okay, and then this is another thing that I showed in the live. It's not like the best light in here to view this because I just printed it, but I typically will send my collections like this. I've mocked up, this has already been licensed for wall art. I named it, Serenity is the name of this collection. But I mocked it up on dishes because I would like to license it for home decor in the kitchenwares category, and that's what I send to them. I send them my mock-ups and my collection, and then I put my social media channels on my website and my logo at the bottom. And this is like large. Mine is not that large when I send it to them. So that's it. Those were all the questions that I had. Thank you so much for being patient with me. And yeah, if you missed the live, that was all the questions. And hopefully this has been super helpful to you.